Absolutely wonderful. And that's the message, folks. Do all you can. And so your assignment, should you decide to accept it, is to go out this week, this day, and do all you can. All you can. Now, happy Grandparents' Day. Now, it popped up on my calendar, and so I just want to say, do we have any grandparents here? Oh, hey! Yay! Yay! And you know, our topic today is scattering good. And I thought it was just a perfect topic for Grandparents' Day. Because, I mean, isn't it true that we scatter all of our love, and we scatter our abundance, and we scatter our wisdom, ideally, all around our grandkids? All around? Now, what would happen if we scattered all of that around everyone? I mean, grandparents that live near their kids or their grandkids often scatter their time. They often do chauffeuring and teaching kids to build things and sew and garden and do other shared activities. And they just, you know, we surround our grandkids with love. And if we did that with the whole world, it would be a world that works for everyone. A world that works for everyone. Ken Gordon, the spiritual director of the Centers for Spiritual Living, the larger organization, said this: we're all part of this wholeness of life called God. What we think of as our individual life is actually our participation in the greater picture. If you stop to think about it, each of us fits into life like we would fit into a perfect mosaic. The truth is that when we bring our authentic self, when we show up as who we were born to be, when we respond to that inner calling, we will all fit into our perfect place and space in the mosaic of life. That, my friends, will bring about a world that works for everyone. If we each do what we can in the place we are, in the time we have, it'll work. Now, as I was thinking about this topic and looking at it on my computer, scattering good, I kept saying, scattering God. Duh. I mean, isn't it pretty much the same thing? As we scatter good, we're scattering that divine energy, that energy that's love, that energy that's joy. And it's just scattering, scattering, scattering. I love this quote by one of my favorite authors, Anonymous. Do all the good you can. And this is basically the song she was singing. Do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all the times you can, to all the people you can, as long as you ever can. And, of course, what we scatter returns to us. I remember when I was a kid, little kid, I think I was probably about 4 years old. I remember riding in the car with my parents, and I had a gum wrapper or a candy wrapper or something like that. And I said, well, Daddy, what do I do with this? And he said, throw it out the window. And so I did. But then I was looking out the window and I noticed there was a lot of trash out there. Now, some years later, we had the wonderful campaign, the Keep America Beautiful campaign. You know, that time when the term litter bug was coined? Before that, who ever heard of the term litter bug? You know, but it raised our consciousness. It reminded us that what we scatter is what's around us and what shows up in our lives. So we get to scatter good. We can scatter it on the highway. We can scatter it with our grandkids. We can scatter it in our prayers with our light. We can scatter it over Florida, over Mexico, over our entire country, in all the places that are facing challenges right now, we can scatter our good. And we do that just with our intention. If we want to scatter our good, it is being scattered. If we want to scatter our light, it is being scattered. And I thank you for that. Ernest Holmes said, "We should give of ourselves in love and in service to others, in a spirit of generosity and good fellowship. A kind word, a thoughtful act, perhaps just a smile can help lighten the burdens of others." So we get to scatter joy. We can scatter compassion. We can scatter peace. As we look around in our lives, we can ask the question, okay, how can I spread good here? How can I share good here? What's my part to scatter? And of course, it doesn't have to be some huge go to a third world country thing. We can do what's right in front of us. So this morning, I'm going to tell you about some people who have done what's right in front of them and made a difference. So on the screen now, there's a young man. His name is Jamie, and he's a teenager, and you see him just standing in the middle of the street here. But let me tell you about him. One time he set out to go to the store to buy a sports drink. But when he set out to do that, he never expected that he would end up saving someone's life. On his walk to the store, and this is in Dublin, Ireland, Jamie Harrington noticed a man sitting on the edge of a bridge crying. He talked the man into coming down and then sat with him, talking, listening, comforting him for about 45 minutes. He convinced the unnamed man to check into a hospital, and he even called an ambulance for him. So they exchanged phone numbers, and then for a while, Jamie had no idea what happened with this. And then he got a text from the man to tell him that his girlfriend was pregnant with a boy, and they were going to name him Jamie. And the man said that Jamie's first words to him were, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And Jamie says, "I can't understand how those few words could save his life. But imagine," and this is what the man said to Jamie, "imagine if no one had said those words to me. Imagine." So we can do what's right in front of us to do. Now here's another kid that did that. This is Brandon Baker. Now, in the picture, it shows him sitting at a computer, and you can see he has a fairly obvious hearing aid, big hearing aid. And so this all started when his dog ate his hearing aid. Okay. No, and Brandon is 10. So when his dog chewed up his hearing aid, he discovered that a hearing aid like that costs $3,000 and is not covered by insurance. Now, he couldn't believe that it cost so much, and that there were kids out there that couldn't have hearing aids, that couldn't hear, because they couldn't afford the hearing aids. And so Jamie decided that he was going to raise enough money, he was going to raise $3,000 so that one other kid could hear who wouldn't be able to hear otherwise. Now, of course, he went on to raise $15,000 in a very short time, enough for 5 kids. And when he and his mother took the check to Oticon Hearing Foundation, they said, "Oh yeah, and we're going to use some of this for hearing aid batteries and people who need help after the floods in Houston." So, this just makes such a difference. And what it also did, and what it can do for us when we follow our path to do what's ours to do, it ignited his passion. So we have a 10-year-old kid here who's going to go out and make a difference in the world, making sure that more people can hear. And he's already, an audiologist has contacted him and said, you get to come with me on my next mission trip. I want you to see, I want you to experience some beautiful hearing smiles and see for yourself what a wonderful and positive impact your work will make. He did what was right in front of him. And it's not just kids, of course, who are scattering good right in front of them. Adults do that too. And in this case, on the screen there's a kid standing in front of a bookshelf full of books. And here's how he got those books. This is a 12-year-old boy named Matthew, and he wanted to read so badly that he asked the mailman to give him junk mail so he would have something to read. Now, the mailman said, don't you go to the library? They've got lots of books there. And Matthew said, well, my family just doesn't have the bus fare to go to the library. But if you give me the junk mail, I'll read that. And so what the mailman, whose name was Ron, did was he put a request out on Facebook, thinking, I've got some friends, they'll donate a few books. Within, I think it was 2 weeks, there were over 300 books donated, and then they continued to come in after that. And Matthew here gets to read all of the books that he wants to. And what he said, let's see. Matthew couldn't be happier, telling a local news reporter, reading is interesting, plus it gets you smarter. Yeah. And Ron the mailman and Matthew plan to pass the books on. As Matthew gets done with them, they will pass them on to other children who might not otherwise have anything to read. So the world is filled with divinity and filled with possibility. The possibilities for us to scatter good in so many ways. And if the best bet is, of course, to do it in a way that really calls to us, that ignites our passion. To do something like they have, something that's right in front of us. Because just like opportunities showed up for Jamie and for Braden and for Ron the mailman, we can keep our eyes and our ears and our hearts wide open, and we will be led to do all we can with what we have in the place we are. In The Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes said, real giving is the art of transmitting ourselves to others and to the conditions and situations that surround us. This kind of giving is not something for special occasions only, for it should become a habit, growing out of our desire to live life to the fullest extent. Only that which becomes an inward habit of thought can spontaneously flow from the heart and transmit itself to everything we touch. Just as life belongs to the one who lives it, to the one who takes it, so the fuller life belongs to the one who scatters good, every good he or she has. It is in the giving of oneself to every person, every project, and every association with zest, love, and friendliness that one sees the larger possibility in all things. Beauty instead of ugliness, love instead of hate, the divine hidden within the human. Sometimes scattering good is scattering peace. Sometimes it's refusing to go along with something that's negative. Sometimes it is absolutely refusing to take things personally. Because when we scatter peace, we can assume that maybe even if somebody said something to us that we really didn't want them to say, that it's about them. It's about their relationship to their divine and to their inner being, and not about us. And so we can absolutely scatter good by staying in a place of peace and not taking things personally. And I really like this one. You can scatter good on your own path. Now, if any of you are aware of Joe Dispenza and know his work, and I know a lot of you do, he talks about creating your day, starting your day out, first thing in the morning, before you even get out of bed, by creating what you want. Now, here's the way I do it, and you can do it any way you want. I imagine a path before me, and then I imagine all along this path that represents my day, my week, my future, that represents right now, I imagine that there are joyful things, surprises, love, abundance that will just pop up in my path. And then with each step, that's what I walk into. With each step, that energy just moves up around me. It infuses my being. And then everyone I meet on my path is right there in that same energy. So creating your day, starting your day by scattering good along your own path, knowing that, of course, what you accept for yourself, you will be able to pass on to other people. So your assignment this week is to scatter good in every way you can. Of course, we want to scatter it to our grandkids, of course, and other children that are in our lives. But we want to scatter it to other people as well. To those that are being challenged by weather things. To those that are being challenged by broken hearts. To those that are being challenged by loss. We can scatter our good. And then, of course, don't forget to scatter it in your own path. To walk in the good that you scatter. Let me know how that works out. Yeah, report back. I want to close with this quote from Ernest Holmes. We should allow the gifts of life to flow out to everything we touch, everyone we meet, every situation we contact. Then, wherever we go, every situation is blessed, every person is helped, every discord is harmonized without our even being conscious of it. When we walk in that good, when we share that, we can know that it will be acted upon by the divine law in exactly the right way for everyone who is impacted in any way. So you up for trying that this week?
Absolutely.
Great. Okay, let's pray. As practitioners, stand in high consciousness with me. I am grateful for our practitioners. Grateful for Jim on platform. Grateful for Kathy Nunemaker holding consciousness, knowing that we are all supported in each moment as we're here and as we leave. For good is being scattered everywhere. I right now declare that each of your paths is filled with good, is filled with delightful surprises, is filled with abundance and love and absolute opportunities for joy. And so what I know is that as we walk into these paths that have been pre-filled with goodness, we are blessed. We are led, we are guided. We know that Spirit shows us what is ours to do. Spirit shows us where it is ours to make a difference, where it is ours to scatter godness and goodness with a smile, with a helping hand, with whatever it is we are called to do. And we can know that as we do that, we are doubly blessed. And so I am grateful. I am grateful for this teaching that reminds us of all of the wonder of sharing, that reminds us of all of the wonder of our intentions, the power of our intentions, to set our intentions for our day, to set the intention for the energy that flows all around us. And so I claim that it's good. I claim that it is very good. I release it. I know that it's done for each one of us and for the world. And so it is.